Can't hear you. I was hearing the intro, but I can't hear you.
How about
Oh,
now?
I hear you now. Yep, I got you.
All right, so let's try this again. All right, we're not going to play the intro video again, though. We can only handle that so many times. you like that song, though? Believe it or not, the title of that song is Ghostbusters Rock.
Oh, that's awesome. That's cool.
Obviously, it's what I had to use. All right, so anyway, everybody, welcome to Paranormal Addicts Season 2, Episode 11. My guest is still Josh Purvis. So, Josh, we always start out with just you introducing yourself to everybody. So just introduce yourself and go from there.
All right, of course. Yeah, my name's Josh Purvis. I'm a co-owner of String Beacon TV or Beacon TV and the second part of the Searchers team. It's me and Shane Pittman.
All right, so our friend Damian Smith said that our audio issues was gremlins.
Always, man, always.
Good morning. Well, good morning to you, Damien. Damien's in Scotland, so it's morning for him.
Oh, nice.
So I always start out with just a couple of icebreaker questions, Josh. The easy ones, you know. The first one's a two-part question. So, and that is, what is the favorite location that you've investigated, and what is your bucket list location that you want to investigate?
One of my bucket list locations would be the catacombs in France or Paris, to be specific. The most recent place that I've been to that to me, and I think it's just based on my experience there recently, was Ashmore State. I went there, and I don't know what it was, but it was one of the most active investigations I've ever been on. That was recent. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. The catacombs would be really cool. That's one of those. Yeah, that's one of those places. You, I think that has to be like on everybody's bucket list.
Yeah,
And that's you.
definitely, right?
Uh, my bucket list has kind of changed over the time. I've been doing this for 33 years, Josh. So my bucket list used to always be, and it kind of still is, Alcatraz.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah,
Uh,
I knock on wood will hopefully get the opportunity to do Alcatraz this year. It's sounding like it, so we'll see.
That's
That's a
cool.
good one.
And then my more realistic one is you know, I don't know. I don't guess I really have a realistic one because I've been doing I've been to almost every place
That
I've wanted
right?
to go to.
Yeah,
So,
same. When you do hundreds and hundreds of places, then you have to put the ones that seem impossible. You never know, though. You never know what'll happen.
yeah. Well, I mean, there's still places that if the opportunity came across, I'm not going to turn down.
Yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. Like a Missouri State Penitentiary. That's the place I'd like to go to.
Yeah, that place is really cool.
I've been to several penitentiaries, but I've not made it there yet. So but yeah. So
Nice.
the next icebreaker question is, what is your favorite piece of equipment in your toolkit? You can't say, Josh, we know we're the best piece of equipment. So what's your favorite? What's your go-to pice of equipment that you had to buy or was that you had to
me,
provide?
honestly, and this probably could be, it's arguable, but I love the SB7 Spirit Box. I love the SB7 Pro even more. Yeah, that's just my take. I'm able to get real time communication with those things, and pairing those and doing. Oh, my mic muted for whatever reason.
We're having the gremlins are coming back.
Did you catch what I said? If not,
yeah. We got you. Yeah, I mean, those you can't argue with that. My current go-to, just because, one of them is because it's like the newest piece in my toolbox is the Apple Box by Go Scare.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I like it. I've got good results on it. I've only actually used it so far in 2 investigations. One was kind of a local place that people don't really know. What's interesting about it though, it's just a haunted attraction, so it operates as a haunted house. In October and
right.
But it's actually got activity too. So we actually got investigated this year, and I used it there, and then I used it for my birthday this year. Me and a few members of my team, we went to the Moreau House.
Oh, nice.
That's where we spent my birthday. For me, with no better place to spend your birthday. Other people, they might prefer Chuck E. Cheese or something. But for me, Moreau House was
right.
So we used it along with other things, but we used it and got really good results on it. The other piece of equipment that I really like is I have a Paratech VM 5.0, which is the same technology type as the Ovilus, but I actually have a lot better results with the Paratech than I did. So, for example, going back to Monroe House, like I said, we went up there for my birthday. My birthday was actually the 19th, which was a Sunday. So obviously our investigation started on the 18th. So at midnight, when it actually became my birthday, we went down to the basement. Because anybody that knows anything about the Monroe House, the basement is where the entity is supposed to be and all that stuff. So we set up and I decided to do a solo in the basement, and I saw your question, Damien. We'll get to it in just a second. So hi, Courtney. So we set up. We had the video camera going, voice recorder. I had my Apple Box and I had my Paratech, and the way we investigate is we do it just like a conversation.
Right.
We respect the spirits, we respect the house, the living, the other, everything. So I was talking to the spirit, basically like I was talking to you, and
right.
I asked him if he died on the property, and the answer I got on the Apple Box was yes. it kind of caught me off guard because I forgot that Dave Schroeder's voice was the voice of the. So we're at midnight. We're at like 12:03 a.m. in the basement of the row house, and all of a sudden I hear Dave, yes. I'm like, so then I was like, did you die in the house? Because at the row house, that's an important question because they think they had several deaths on the property and then some on the house. So so I asked it. I was like, "Did you die in the house?" And it said yes. So I was like, "Okay." I was like, "How did you die? Were you murdered?" And it said yes. So then I was like, "So were you killed by? Were you shot or killed by a gun?" And it said no. I was like, "Okay, were you physically killed? Were you strangled, beat to death?" It said no. So I was like, at this point, this is exactly how I phrased the question. You can go watch a video and everything. So at this point, I was like, so I'm a little bit confused here. I was like, you said you died here at the house, and it said yes, but you wasn't shot. You didn't die by gun or physically. I was like, so can you tell me how you died? And then on the paratech, I got fire.
Oh, dang.
Which is interesting because I didn't mention fire. Right. And the Monroe House has actually known to burn down like 4 or 5 times. So, I mean, it was a – so that was a good catch. And then even though – so the Monroe House is a small location. It's just a house. So we only took 5 of my team members and 4 of my team members. There's 4 of us. So, but one of my team leads was watching the live at home. And when I was down in the basement doing this, you heard a growl.
Oh, dang.
I didn't hear it during the interview, but when I went back and reviewed the evidence, you can hear it. And I mean, it's part of our video on YouTube channel. So it's definitely there. So that was interesting. So let's get to Damien's question real fast. He says,
yeah, of course.
He says, has Beacon TV ever filmed at a location or an event and captured something paranormal and had the entity follow or had activity away from the site that's been parroted from the footage?
Yeah, so Damien, I don't know about the footage specifically, but we did film an episode of a project here recently. I'm not going to say where or which one yet. I can't. But it did have a lot to do with objects being brought in and those things being carried over to other locations and stuff. So, and we did catch some really incredible evidence with that.
I think that's a good question, and I think that's something that people have to think about, especially like new people getting into the field. They see all the stuff on TV. No offense to Beacon TV, because you guys are legit. Yeah, I mean, there's legit team. There's legit stuff on TV, and there's not so legit teams, and then there's just a fake shit. But so no offense to you guys. I mean, I actually have a subscription to you guys. So, and that says a lot because I don't watch the paranormal TV.
That, man. Thank you.
I've been doing this for so long. I just I'll watch like Ghost Adventures. I'm like, yeah, that's not real. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So for me, so yeah, that's actually a compliment to you guys. So anyway, but as I was saying, so people getting into the film, they see like the stuff on TV, especially a lot of the stuff on YouTube. Not all the stuff on YouTube. There's some legit stuff on YouTube. But a lot of the people on YouTube, they just like Demon all the time because they get more likes. So John Doe sees that and they're like, well, I'm going to be a paranormal investigator.
Right. Yeah.
Whatever term you want to use. I personally consider myself a paranormal researcher. But anyway, so they're like, I'm going to be a paranormal. So they go in. They don't think about. They don't think about the chance that a spirit can follow them home or whatever. Yeah. Like I said, I've been doing this for 33 years that we discussed earlier, so I had to take 3 years off because I had brain and spine surgery. I got a neurological condition that. So anyway, So when I got back into it 3 years ago, 5 years ago now, that's one thing my wife said to me. She's like, I know you're gonna go back into it. That's your passion. To me, it's more than a passion. To me, God gave me the gifts I have
Right.
to use. You know what I'm saying? So, but anyway, so she's like, I know you're going to do it. She's like, but you can't bring anything home. You know, people
Right.
don't think of it. So that's something you got to think about because
Yeah, for sure.
my team, we actually do a prayer before we go into a location. If we do a prayer of protection and communication going in, and then when we
Right.
leave, we do a prayer of detachment. You know, yeah, you have to be safe. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah,
we have different ways that we kind of handle that. I personally have when I first started out investigating, that was a really big issue of bringing things home, to be honest. And I think it had more to do with going to all of these different locations all the time. Um, I it was like I was dragging back pieces of things with me almost. Fast forward a little bit to today, I'm more so. I do think it's more of a mind thing, so I try to not think too much about it. I try to not think about like, you know, am I doing that? Am I bringing something? Other than that, as far as like protections, there's only actually been one location that I have kind of followed whatever guidelines that they told me to do as far as protections, and that was the Ura Shrine up in Bristol, Tennessee. We went to film a docu-series there maybe a little over 2 years now, and that was a really really intense place. And when we walk in the door, they gave us these amulets, and I'm a huge believer in like intent. So if he believed that this is what we needed to do, I wasn't going to argue that. So that's what we did.
So the Urine Shrines, we're actually going. My team's actually going there this year.
Oh, very nice. Yeah. So
I,
I would say be on your P's and Q's there. That place has a energy of its own. Respect the location 100% because there's
yeah,
plenty of stories of people that did not do that and it did not work out for them. So
yeah. Well, I'm all about respect anyway. Kind
yeah.
of like you said. I myself consider myself a Christian person, and to
Yeah.
me, it works into my investigation.
Hmm.
Now that growing up, it didn't. I'm actually from not only the Bible Belt. I'm from the heart of the Bible Belt. We have a
Right.
church on every block. I'm from
Oh
Western
yeah. Same.
Kentucky.
Yeah.
So,
I'm from Georgia, so we
growing
got them.
up,
We got them
yeah,
everywhere.
growing up, I used to get a whole lot of, oh, yeah, that's the work of the devil. You must be going to hell. I got a lot of that. That's the reason I claim 33 years because that's when I turned 18 and that's when I was able to move away. And
Yeah.
I actually went. I actually have a degree in parapsychology. I have 2 Bible degrees.
Oh, that's awesome.
I trained in demonology under Bishop Long, so I'm an
Okay.
educated investigator too. So yeah, but yeah, so to me, religion is part of my thing. But
Yeah.
I don't force my views on anybody else. And like my team's Ken 10 Paranormal. We're a large team. We have 15 active members.
Oh,
Um,
great.
it's good sometimes. Sometimes it's like babysitting. Um, but obviously in that we have all kinds of different religious backgrounds. We got Catholic, we got Wiccan, we got everything. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
so like you said, don't take if that's what somebody believes. Like one of my team leads. She's all about her Saint Michael's
Yeah.
thing. So that's good for her. Then I got my 2 sons on my team. He's all about his tiger eye
Yeah.
crystal. So whatever works because that's really what it is. It's not really the object; it's your belief in the object.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. 100%.
yeah. So
That's also why objects end up being cursed or, possessed too. It's kind of the same mindset, right? So, objects, are possessed if people, if those objects held significant, value or belief value or spiritual value to a person and they pass, or if you believe that something may be cursed, it kind of embodies that.
So let's talk a little bit about your investigation style,
Yeah.
technique, whatever term you want to use. Um, so, do you consider yourself like an old school
Um,
investigator,
I do.
scientific?
So definitely, when it comes to equipment, I'm definitely more old school. I would say my biggest difference is I am really I've kind of, for better or worse, hung my hat on up on like collecting the next latest and greatest piece of evidence, if you would. However, my my real concern is having that real time communication while I'm there investigating with whoever or whatever is there at the locations. I do a lot of like sensory deprivation or manipulation techniques to help kind of I guess encourage that communication and allows me to listen better. Estes is just one of more common ones that we do. However, we do a lot more in depth ones as well.
I have nothing but respect for that. I consider myself an hybrid, I guess,
Yeah,
because especially even my team, our motto, everybody asks me all the time, what sets our team apart from your other people? And
yeah,
one thing is we still do residential investigations. A lot of people have gone away from
yeah.
residentials, but we still do them. And to me, I don't. That's when I get the most satisfaction when I'm able to help a family. So,
Absolutely. I still do them too. Actually, you'll never see them on TV because you
yeah,
know,
exactly. Yeah,
they're a
yeah.
lot more intimate to me. So I don't, I do take those very seriously when I'm doing them. So
Yeah, you'll never see us on our YouTube channel or our
okay,
Facebook page because when you go to a residential case, your focus is supposed to be on helping the family. It's not supposed to
absolutely,
be about YouTube likes or Facebook likes or
absolutely.
any of that. So yeah, 100%. So the other thing that sets us apart is, and it's our little slogan we've came up with, if is we combine old school techniques with new school technology.
Okay,
So,
yeah,
because I mentioned earlier, my guest, I was born with the ability to be able to see and communicate with spirits.
hmm.
Been able to do it all my life. Uh, Hi, Denise.
What's up, Denise?
uh, so, um, so, so yeah. So I say 33 years going back to earlier because that's when I was actually able to
Yeah,
get some guidance. And so, so I use my abilities that God gave me. If I sense something, I communicate with. So I use all that to me, but I also got like a whole toolbox full of stuff. I got two of the rolling toolkits you get from Lowe's. Full
I
of
know.
stuff.
Same, man. Same. I have tons of equipment, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know. The more I do it, I do hand pick a couple of things that I'll take with me, and let's roll. So
Yeah. So to me, this the fancy equipment, whether it's SLS or whatever, that's good for the homeowner. If you're doing a
yeah,
residential, and you could be like, I captured this, that's a lot
yeah,
easier to take to the homeowner than to be like, well, I feel this is what I
yeah,
saw.
yeah. Absolutely.
So to me, that's what the fancy equipment for. You know. And you appreciate this, Josh. It looks good on TV. It looks
Yeah,
good on a
yeah.
video.
Of course.
You
I
know,
mean, the thing about TV too is you do have to change up like the devices and investigations, kind of keep them, keep it interesting, if you will. So we try to vary up things. We use the SLS, XLS. We will use those from time to time. Portal boxes. Um, people use apps a lot, and I personally don't use them just because I existed in paranormal investigating during a time where apps weren't a thing. So to me, I just don't use them. That doesn't mean they don't work. It's just not something that I use. I know, Denise. I'm coming. I got to go to the red Yeti with you guys anyway. That's what I'm really coming for.
I think she's talking to both of us. Because I've been trying to get to the Ditto House for 2 years, and I'm from Kentucky, so
Yeah.
the other side of Kentucky, everybody get haunted. They're all like, "Wait, any of the nieces in Kentucky too?" I'm like, Kentucky is
it's a pretty big state. Yeah, it's pretty long.
It's like, so they're still 5 hours away from me, So yeah, but I'm definitely gonna get that. The Ditto House is like, to me. From everything I've talking to everybody, I would say, to me, the Ditto House is probably the most active place in Kentucky.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I know other people would say Waverly, but Waverly's been doing a lot.
Oh yeah. So I've actually never been to Waverly. There was a couple of times where I was supposed to go and I just haven't. And I think just over the years, like, eventually there will be a time where it crosses my path again, but I just go where I'm supposed to go, like, I'll eventually go up and see Denise and Ernie. We are going to go get some good food and probably
Denise, I watched the episode. I did watch the episode. I even gave you some love. Remember, I took the picture of you on my TV and put it on my Facebook. And I got a 55-inch TV. Nobody needs to see that much Ernie. I'm sorry. So yeah, Waverly, I've been to several times. I went back in like '98. Yeah. Before it became a thing, and it was so crazy at that time that you didn't even have to ask the questions. You could just they would just be walking down the hallway. My theory is now, I don't think the spirits particularly like or the tourist attraction to it, so they're not as active as they used to be. They're still there. They're just not as active as they used to be. I got you guys back. Nothing but love. So here's a question that I ask every week. But for you, I really want to get your aspect on it because you're kind of in that group. So I've coined the phrase para-pop culture. That's my phrase. Yeah. You like that phrase? And I don't really mean it disrespectfully. I got some really good friends. I got some really good friends in the field. Me and you are friends. We're becoming better friends, because we're getting. But then, I got like Gavin Kelly. Me and Gavin go way back. We're both from Paducah.
Awesome.
Aaron G. Thompson. So I got lots of friends that are part of the para-pop culture. Right. So it's not necessarily a derogatory term. Kind of like somebody calling you. Kind of like somebody calling you mama's boy. It's not necessarily. So anyway. So my question is, how do you think the para-pop culture has affected the paranormal field, both negatively and positively?
Yeah, so I think that's an easy. There's an easy answer to that. I think the pop culture. So if you go years back, there used the idea of ghost hunting or paranormal investigating was very taboo, and like you said, even in the Bible Belt, if you did that kind of stuff, you were, a Satan worshiper or this and that. And I do think because of the pop culture aspect of that it has become more received and a bit normalized, and I think there is some good to come out of that. It's opened up the ability to have better talks, better discussions, and better understanding of what we do as paranormal investigators and the evidence that we find. The downside to it is that it does, like with anything out there, it brings in these people that will over embellish things for the gain of entertainment, if you will. And don't get me wrong, I always tell people, like, yes, we are, Beacon TV, for instance, we're a streaming channel for entertainment, but we are also owned by paranormal investigators. And it's that fact that makes it where our investigations are we look for stuff that is very traditional in the way that you investigate, right? Like, we're not trying. We do have a huge respect for how we perform our investigations not just us, but whoever we're filming or whoever we're working with, because it is the one thing that, like, as you know, the people that will watch us that are paranormal enthusiasts and love to sit down and watch the investigation unfold and maybe even find evidence that we didn't find. I think it's really important, right? I think it's really important to be as straightforward with that stuff as we possibly can. And so we do take that very seriously. There is I do think that there's an area where you can be entertained by what we're doing while also respecting those avenues of investigating, right? And I think that's where our goal is.
Hello, Ernie.
What's up, Ernie?
Yeah. So if everybody looks down on my video there, you can see all the Get Haunted podcasts scrolling down along the bottom. Give those other shows some love. They're all good shows. But yeah, so Josh, I completely agree with everything you just said. To me, that's the number one thing the para-pop culture has brought to the field. Because now, since I moved back home to Western Kentucky again, I still get some of the, oh, you must worship the devil. But I also get a lot of the, oh, you mean like ghost hunters.
There's so much interest in it now, which is incredible, yeah. Right? I mean, I remember even trying to find a group here locally to be a part of. I never even got to be a part of a group other than Shane and I. And, you know, I in a lot of ways, I think that's probably even better. And it's advocated to my production or my investigation style as well. But yeah, I mean, it used to be so hard to even find anybody that was interested because nobody would talk about it. Nobody would openly talk about it. So I am happy to see that there's a bigger conversation going on when it comes to paranormal investigating.
Yeah. I mean, I actually even host the Paracon here in Mayfield.
Yeah.
This is my third year this year. This year we no longer call it a Paracon because we're trying to avoid all the negativity in the field. We got all the drama. So this year we renamed it, rebranded it. This year it's the West Kentucky Paranormal Expo.
Oh, nice.
So yeah.
So you know, we just did a Cajun Country Paracon, and one of my favorite things, because at the end of this one too, there was, you know, so many people got to go and do a group investigation with us. One of my favorite things is still finding those people that have never investigated before. This is like their first time. I think that is, you know, really great and speaks to the heart of like how open paranormal investigating has become. And now we, you know, I just get excited for the people just getting their start into it, right? And never done it before. There's an exciting piece of that to me. So
yeah, we try to do one public investigation a year, and I'm old, so I still call it public. I know everybody wants to call it a novice. I don't like that term. I'm sorry. So I do one public event a year. We usually do it on September 27th. No, we usually do it on the third Saturday of September because that's National Ghost Hunting Day. But this year I'm actually doing the expo on that Saturday. So, so this year we're actually doing May 3rd is apparently National Paranormal Day. So I'm actually doing I'm actually speaking at my local library here.
Oh, I'm doing great, man.
I'm doing a paranormal 101 talk. And then afterwards, we're going to it's a business now, but it was a house that was built in 1860, and it has activity. And the business actually asked me to do a public investigation there.
That's cool.
We're going to
that alone, man. The idea that we do public investigations now, that is so cool. Like in the past, you wouldn't have even been able to do that because people would have, you know, tried to stone you for it. So
right, but burn you at the cross. So you know what I think is so the talk
exactly, Ernie. Exactly.
I agree. So and you know that's a big thing to me, a big passion to me. So like I mentioned earlier, you know, Ken 10 Paranormal is a large team. but you can't just come up and say, "Hey, Kent, I'm interested in the paranormal. I want to join the team," because I want to introduce everybody to doing it the right way. So
Yeah,
we
of course.
actually so if you come to Kent, if you come to Kent. If you come to me, I don't know why I'm all of a sudden talking about myself in the third person. If you come to if you come to me, and so there's a process. The first process is, I guess, an interview. It's just a talk between me and whoever. And
Yeah. Okay.
if I think you would fit with the team and you actually have an actual interest in it, so I
That's awesome, Denise.
the next process is you'll come to our team meeting. We have monthly team meetings, so
Right.
you'll come to a team. So you'll come to a team meeting, and we do an orientation, and then the orientation where we'll explain to you that it's not really like you see on TV.
Right.
If it's an 8-hour investigation, that's 16 hours of recordings you have to go over, all that kinds of stuff, and then we explain to them that you're not paid, so you have to. There's an expense to it too. So
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
explain all that stuff. So and then after that, they go into training for however many investigations to make sure they investigate properly. We ain't going to have them go provoking anything.
Right.
We're not going to have them destroying any property, that kind of stuff. So we actually have. I actually have 2 team leads that help me out, and a team trainer that helps me out. My team trainer's day job. He's actually a police officer. So so that's But I mean, I love helping the new people.
Yeah.
I like promoting. I love promoting the field. Somebody. I used to discuss the drama in the field. I don't even give it time anymore. But that used to be
Yeah.
like that used to be one of the reasons that people said we have drama is because for some reason some of these prima donnas who think they're entitled to spotlight,
Right.
and it's not like that.
I
I've
think
been
if
doing this
people quit worrying about that kind of stuff and just focused on their passion and what they want to do. Mine is in 2 areas. It's filmmaking and in paranormal investigating. So I don't think about anything other than the work I got ahead of me, and and making sure that I do the stories justice. You know what I mean?
My team is actually going to be on a couple of TV episodes
Oh,
later
nice.
on this year, and obviously I've had opportunities prior.
Yeah.
I used to go. I used to be big in the con circuit
Yeah.
before my brain surgery. I used to speak at them all the time, and and all that, and but since then, we've actually been doing more, just our own thing. But we've had opportunities. We've actually been invited to send an audition tape to
Oh.
Paraflex,
Oh,
that kind of
nice.
stuff. But this new opportunity we're actually going to do is actually more of a local, based out of Tennessee thing. It's called History Highways, is what it's called.
Oh,
And
sweet.
and I wasn't going to do it at first because of all the drama, because of the people who yell demon,
Yeah.
then we got the Sam and Kobe, the Spice Girls on the paranormal field,
Right.
uh, and I don't talk about anybody. I would like to have the money that they have, but don't make it any harder to investigate. Because of these kinds of people, when you go to locations like Harriman Hospital or
Mhm.
or any now you have to sign like a 3-page waiver, and like you can't like when I
That
went
is
to
true.
Harriman last year, before I could release my video, I had to send it to them to approve, and they
Yeah.
actually told me that was because of Sam and Kobe.
I
Yeah,
would say that as well too. Like, we need to hold ourselves accountable to the kind of work that we're doing and the kind of content that we're producing. But also, it's it's one of those things that for the locations too. You gotta hold yourself responsible for how you portray these locations as well. Like a lot of these people really need to understand that, and I can't stress enough how a lot of the work that we do, even if we're attending conventions, we're going to film at these locations. A lot of this stuff is to keep these locations afloat. People like
and,
they're
and that's what,
super old, super. They have amazing stories tied to them, and they use every bit of money they can get and every bit of promoting that they can get to get more people out there. Don't tarnish their stories, their real
right,
stories,
right,
for the sake of entertainment. That's you don't
yeah,
have to do
yeah.
that. You know,
It,
real people were at these
it,
places.
and it's all because in this instance, they released a live video from inside Harriman Hospital and
Hmm.
was claiming demon. It's a demon. It's a demon. Because so
And
anyway,
to
so
be honest, that does nothing but like tarnish the idea of there being a demon too, right? When everybody's yelling it, it's like crying wolf at this point. And
exactly.
do I disagree that demonic stuff exists? Absolutely not. I think that there's a place for that, right? I just don't think it's nearly as frequent as what people think. And just because something is mean or negative or feels dark doesn't mean that it's a demon either. I mean, there were
Right.
bad people
Yeah.
in life. When they die and they're sticking around, guess what? They're probably not great in the afterlife either.
So this is what I say, Josh. This is my exact quote, and I say it all the time. If they were a dickhead in life, they're going to be a dickhead as a spirit.
Right. Yeah, of course.
And
But
and
vice versa, right? So if they were good, in life and had a good attitude, then in the afterlife, they probably are like that as well.
so yeah, Denise said all waivers for both locations state that using the word demon will get you escorted off the property. That's a good rule because, like Laura said, and like you just said, and I'm just going to reiterate, demons are very rare. And I mean, I'm not denying demons because obviously, I took demonology training under Bishop Long. So say don't say, but they're very rare. You're talking about less than 1%. There's malicious spirits, but just
Yeah.
a malicious spirit is usually just a dickhead. Then we ran into that at Anderson Hotel, and
Yeah.
Ernie said that I need to send a tape to Beacon.
There you
I
go.
might need to do that.
There you go. Yeah, and the other part about it is like the longer that somebody, to me, in my opinion at least, exists over in the spirit world, they kind of lose themselves. They lose who they were. It doesn't mean that they were even bad people, that they're bad people today. That's when you start getting this, poltergeist activity and stuff like that. We don't know how that works in the afterlife other than they've been here for a long time and now they've become more energy and less person. And
Right, exactly. So talking about the one I mentioned a few moments ago at the Anderson Hotel. So they don't even allow investigations at the Anderson Hotel anymore. But they shut it down. They shut it down for 3 years because it was violently haunted. Blah blah blah. And
yeah,
when they opened it back up, And when they opened it back up, we were the second team to investigate it. Well, it's in Kentucky, but again, just because it's in Kentucky don't mean it's close to me. This was another one that was six.
right.
This was another 6-hour trip to investigate. So we get there. Long story short, the first thing to realize is calling this place a hotel is being nice. It's a transit hotel.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It's not a Hilton. It's a transit hotel.
Right.
That's what it is. The second thing to realize is they want it to be violently haunted because there's four verified suicide murders
Right.
at the location. And when I say verified, I mean verified. I take my reputation very seriously.
Right.
I carry insurance and I carry a legal representation. So if I say something's verified, I mean it's verified. I'm talking about
Right.
verified by coroner reports, police reports, and newspaper. So verified. And of the four verified death, suicide, murder, suicides there, they have three of the no, they have two bloodstained mattresses still there.
Oh, wow.
From the suicides. Then they have a bloodstained bathtub from the other suicide. The fourth one was a guy that he falls into the asshole category. He lived there, and he ran prostitutes in and out. And Denise said that they have 28.
Denise, holy smokes.
Yeah, that's crazy there. So So he drunk himself to the point that he hung himself in the closet. All of his liquor bottles are there, and they encourage teams to bring liquor to the spirit. I didn't bring that. To me, that's provoking. So we didn't do that. So anyway, so the other thing. So in the 3 years that they were shut down from letting people investigate, I'll get to your question in just a second. They decided to make it into. They decided to make it into a haunted attraction. So they decided to do a haunted house there. I understand that they got to make money, but they decided to paint a voodoo symbol in the entranceway.
See, I think that's dangerous in and of itself. Like especially if you don't like actively follow those kind of belief systems and stuff like that, don't go.
See, that's what happened. They just picked something that looked cool. They didn't research it or anything. The symbol that they picked opens up the gates of hell. I really
believe that it's things like that really mess up like the energy of a location, and you end up causing things that you don't even intend to, you know.
So long story short, because we had lots of activity here. So the two most famous rooms, if that's the term you want to use, is the one room with the bloodstained mattress. It was this 19-year-old girl, and 19, you're still a girl, but she came all the way from Michigan to this little shut town in Kentucky. Nobody really knows why. And the only thing you can piece together is by what she left behind and the communications with her. So what she left behind was she drew pictures with crayon, and I'm not sure why crayon, but she drew pictures with crayon, and she wrote Bible verses and drew pictures with crayon, and like she drew a mountain range and had a Bible verse. She drew a river and had a mountain verse, and she had all these are still hanging all over the room. They're still there. And then she committed suicide on the mattress. And that's one of the bloodstained mattresses that's still there. So what we learned from her was she did not like, she preferred to talk to the females. So piecing together, we'll figure she got heartbroken and she ended up in Kentucky. So the one that we had the most, this is the only location in 33 years that I ever left before the investigation was over, because safety first. So we're back to the room where the guy lived. We found out his name was Joe, by the way. So we're back in Joe's room. Before we even get to the room, me and Dennis were together. Dennis is a big guy. I'm talking about like 5'11", 220, big guy, like me. And something pushed him while he was in the hallway. Something shoved him down to the ground.
Jeez.
So I decided, for some reason, to go into the closet where the guy hung himself. When I got in the closet, all my energy was drained from me, and I hit the ground. So Dennis pulled me out of the closet. We do our EVP session. We radio. It's time we switch every 45 minutes. So it's time to switch. So I radio back to the girls. I was like, I have to warn you. I don't know what's going to happen, and I know you're going to come up here anyway, but Joe does not like females. I was like, I'm not telling you to scare you. I'm telling you because as your team lead, as your lead investigator, if I don't tell you, that's irresponsible of me. So I was like, so we switch, and my niece is on my team. And at that time, she was 19. So she decided to use the prostitute angle to get the conversation started. And this is still one of the best EVPs I ever captured. And so she goes up there. She's like, I'm 19 and cute. Can I get a job? And the EVP said $50 and free room.
Oh, wow. That's crazy.
That's exactly that. $50 free room. So they keep investigating. This Joe keeps touching Jill, that keeps rubbing on her. Mm-hmm. Then it escalates to the point where Joe grabs Stephanie by her female, I'm not going to say it, but you know what I'm talking about. So at that point, that's when I ended the investigation because it became a safety issue.
Yeah, of
So yeah,
course. Yeah, absolutely.
so we got another question from Damien here. Let's see what he says. Has any of the Beacon shows helped gather more information regarding cold cases?
Yeah, so Damien, we actually, because we're not just paranormal genre related, we're true crime and horror too. There is a Beacon original series that we're working on right now. It's called Small Town Secrets, and it is about investigating cold cases in small towns. Me myself, I grew up in a small town. I'm technically live in a small town today, but I grew up in an even smaller town, and it's interesting the kind of secrets people are willing to keep in them. So
You know, we have several. So I grew up in Paducah, Kentucky.
yeah,
You know, Paducah likes to think they're a big city, but they're not. But I mean, I actually spent, so like that's where I lived. But my grandparents lived in Wickliffe, Kentucky, and Carroll, Illinois, which are even smaller towns. So, and my granddad used to be chief of police and all this stuff. So yeah, so I'm all about it. So so we have lots
ooh,
of secrets
neat. I
down
like
here.
that.
Yeah. There's your coat case in the dinner house.
I have to remember that.
So I completely understand that. So I love going back to Cairo, Illinois, to investigate a lot. I don't know what you know about Cairo, but Cairo is a living ghost town now. Its population is like 800, 1,200
Oh my
people,
gosh.
but it used to be a significant town. Like it was supposed to be like Huck Finn, the movie, has a
Hmm.
song about Cairo. It was actually supposed to be the biggest town in the area. It was supposed to be
Yeah,
bigger than
yeah, yeah.
Cairo.
I
It's
gotcha.
supposed to be
Yeah.
bigger than Batu. Racial riots destroyed it.
Okay.
It was so significant in its time. General Grant's headquarters was at Cairo during the Civil War.
Oh wow.
He actually
Yes.
visited. He actually visited Cairo. He actually visited Cairo twice as president. And Al Capone had a headquarters in Cairo. So it used to be a
Oh, that's
significant town.
cool. Yeah.
I still go. I go there. My uncle was mayor there. That's where my dad's. So I still try to investigate there as much as I can to bring light to the history. So yeah. So
It's about, whew, holy smokes. Yeah, that's but to be honest, Damien, that's probably, I think we're in like the 200,000 where I live right now, which is still relatively small because I live in a rural area. So it is kind of spread out. Kind of to jump on what Denise said about the cold case. So the reason that we even want to do small town secrets is that my uncle, and it'll be talked about a lot in the series, but my uncle was murdered when I was really really young, and it's still unsolved today. So um yeah, so like I kind of living some of that firsthand, if you would.
so this do. I got a couple of lightning rounds I'd like to do, Josh, and I would just like to get your input
Yeah, of course.
because.
Let's do it.
So the first one is we'll talk about different kinds of activity.
Yeah.
If you notice, I don't really use the haunted phrase because a
Mhm.
lot of times when you say haunted, everybody always just assumes there's negative. So
Oh
I,
yeah, that's a good point.
I tend to use active more. So we'll talk about different kinds of activity and just give you a take on it. And if you ever investigate a location that's had that kind of, just expand on it if you feel like it. So
You say
let's start out with residual haunting. So what's
residual
your take on
haunting.
residual?
Absolutely, being in the South, being where a lot of stuff in the Civil War took place, we absolutely have a lot of what I think are just residual spirits or maybe imprints being left behind from the Civil War. Same kind of like people witness the same kind of things happening all the time.
So yeah, so I mean, for the people who don't know, which I'm sure most of the viewers know because they're watching a paranormal podcast, but
Right.
for the people who don't know, a residual is basically like a videotape, a loop,
Yep.
a glitch in the matrix, if you will. So yeah, so yeah, residual is definitely out there. Yeah, we have a location that I've actually investigated a dozen times. It was the African American hotel due to segregation.
Okay.
And that's actually a location that we've done several of our public investigations at. But anyway, one of the famous spirits there was she's believed to be the owner, and it's a residual. She's just a residual. At 11:01, she just walks down the staircase. That's all she does is walk down the staircase. I've only actually captured her one time out of 11, but I did finally capture her on tape. So that was cool.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's cool.
So, and the time that we captured her, it was really cool because we were hosting a film crew from Belmont University.
Oh, cool.
So we was able to capture. Yeah. So yeah. So good time to catch it, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, I'll definitely take a look at that, Denise.
So used to, people always said that residual hauntings were the most common. But I had a guest last season that made a point that it might actually be intelligent hauntings, and I've kind of been investigating that way since then because she made a good point. Because with residual haunting, it could really be anything. It's just a loop. So but with intelligent haunting, we actually have that communication there. So you actually know. Absolutely. So that's my leeway. I don't know if it's a very good leeway, but that's my leeway to intelligent hauntings.
Yeah. So, yeah. So for intelligent hauntings, yeah, I mean, absolutely right. And I think as a filmmaker, I come across those a lot more, mainly because I'm always, the things I investigate are actual stories or maybe mysteries behind somebody's death or mysteries of a location itself, or maybe things that are left unsolved after somebody has passed away at the location, like where they may be buried. Are they buried on the property, or has their body been lost to time? Trying to help bring closure there as well. So yeah. I mean, we lean on those intelligent conversations with spirits to try and help solve some of those riddles.
All right, so Damien has a thought here. So let's just discuss this. He said, "Do you think it's possible all hauntings are residual until we make them aware, then they become intelligent?"
How about this, Damien? How about I think it can be possible? And the reason I say that is because I am a huge believer in thought forms and tulpas. So if you believe enough, or say maybe, somebody's house becomes the center for, a town's urban legend or something like that, I think by default you create an energy out of that. So you make something real. Reality is perception oftentimes.
I think it's, I guess it's possible. I mean, there's so much that we still don't know.
I definitely think you can't wrap a bow on it, right? Like, I don't think you can just say, "Oh, it's a ghost and it's this." Yeah, I don't think it's that simple.
Yeah. So I'll get back to the speed round in a minute.
Yeah.
But here's a question. For some reason, it just hit me to ask you. I've asked it a couple of times, but it's not like one of my regular questions. But with I think seeing Damien, I don't know who reminded me of it. So why do you think most spirits tend to speak in English, even if they're...
So I think, and I've had actually plenty of investigations where we've had to use like it sounds probably terrible, but it works. We use Google Translator in real time to translate what was being said, and it does work. I think for us, the easy answer to that is that most of the investigations that we do are here in the country. On top of that, I do think there's also a scenario where whatever you're communicating with will talk in the native language that you need it to get whatever that needs to be said across to you, whatever it takes, right?
Right.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I think for us, we're investigating here in the country. The most widely used language is going to be English, right? It's going to be American English. We have investigated a couple of places. One was a Japanese internment camp. They absolutely we got plenty of communication that was in Japanese, 100%. Recently, I was actually, oddly enough, investigating at Old South Pittsburgh Hospital, and we had two people doing the SS method across from each other, and they just in the group happened to be the ones that spoke German and could. They both started saying that it started speaking German to them, and they were telling us what it was. So I think that is a situation of they were just trying to talk in whichever way it they could to get what they wanted to say across.
Right. So yeah. So I've had the German thing before. We investigated a location that was it was a seed mill, but it was built by World War II POWs,
Yeah, yeah,
and and it's untouched. I'm talking about it still has the tunnels where they transported the prisoners and they
right,
punished
right,
the
right,
prisoners. Not that we punished our POWs, but
right.
yeah. But it still has the tunnels. It still has the old. I mean, it's untouched. So untouched that when we first walked into it, I looked at my team and said, "How much asbestos do you think we're going to inhale in this location?" So, and I mean, it's still 5 stories. I mean, you still have to take the
Oh
old.
wow.
So, but anyway, so we're in the tunnels, which is where I got the most activity, and they were crazy. So obviously, tunnels that old, we didn't have very much
Right.
Wi-Fi or anything, but we used Google Translate and
Hmm.
to do German, and they responded. We have a whole EVP session with them
Right.
responding in German. So yeah, so I'm kind of the same way. And another thing that I usually add, and I could be wrong here, because we're all still learning. Even after 33 years, I'm still learning.
Oh, of
And
course.
that's the way I want it to be. I say all the time in the paranormal field, you're either green and growing, or you're ripe and rotting. And I don't want
Yeah.
to be growing. So anyway, so a theory that I came up with is so by theory we theorize that spirits use radio rays and stuff to communicate with us.
Yeah.
So if the radio rays, so if they're, if the radio is in English and they're manipulating them, obviously the communication is going to be in English because
Yeah.
that's what the.
That's a good
So
point. That is a good point. Yeah.
all right, so our next kind of activity is a malicious spirit. Have you ever dealt with a
Malicious.
malicious spirit?
I guess I would say, man, that's a tough one. I would say the thing that's probably come close to that for me was investigating at Yorktown Memorial in Texas. Uh, the day that we went to investigate, it was pouring down rain. It was storming. In that place, I don't, for anybody that hasn't been there, it it's not in the greatest shape. So you go in, and there's water flooding the basement floor, so you can't even go in there. Water just pouring out of the walls and stuff of that nature. And man, I don't know. There was just something about that place that just felt angry the whole time. Like it was very active, but it felt like they were upset.
Right. And yeah, and to me that's where the malicious spirit is. Yeah, malicious. It's an angry spirit. to me, I tell people all the time, but we have to realize is when we go on a location, we're really trespassing on the spirit's place.
Yeah.
They're there.
I mean,
So
they have a right to be angry sometimes too. I mean, you don't know.
So
You don't know their circumstances.
Yeah. Okay, how about poltergeist activity?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we all cross that every now and again. To me, though, the easy answer for that is that I think it's just from a spirit that has been there for a long time. That's become more energy than it has, person. And to be honest, they're maybe just trying to communicate with you, and we don't know how that translates over across the veil, or that could, they may be trying to yell at us on the other side, but in turn throw a cup on our side. Like, you don't know how that's connected.
Exactly. And yeah. I don't really have anything to add. That's pretty good answer. And really, poltergeist. Yeah. So that brings me to the one that brings me to the one that nobody really likes to talk about unless you're getting more likes. But demonic.
I've not personally come across anything that has been demonic. However, the Ura Shrine, it does. So if you go there, they do allow like different religions basically to practice everything that they practice. Even like, Satanists or people that worship the demons and worship the demon ball, to be specific. But to that point, it's like, well, he is allowing also this free space for people to practice their religions where they can do it without persecution or without, being run out by their community and stuff like that. And so the biggest challenge I think that we had going into investigating there and even staying there multiple days is to really understand that, right? Is that if there is demons in that location, they're there because they're supposed to be there, because somebody wants them there. And so like it becomes tough to kind of wrap your head around that, but we try to respect that as much as possible, right? And because that is what the location is designed for. But other than that, I don't think that I've ever really come across anything demonic. I would have to guess that there's definitely demonic things over in the Ura Shrine. But again, it's only because people actively go there and practice different religions and stuff, things that would support that.
Yeah. So I've never. I can't say I've ever experienced a demonic.
Right.
I only have one case over my 886 cases that I've investigated that I can even say would be borderline demonic, and it was kind of like you said, the person kind of invited it there. That's what people have to understand. A demonic entity has to be invited. It's
and it takes a long time for it to even like manifest too. So listen, demons aren't, in my eyes, interested in hanging out in some creepy crawly area.
Right.
Their ideas are, their desire to even exist here is to convert souls, right? That is what they do, and they're going to go to the people that they can break down. That's how that happens. That's how possession happens. And it doesn't happen like that. It doesn't happen overnight. Right. It happens over a series of events, and oppression, and then possession. They break down it's the mental fatigue of having them around you until you succumb to letting them possess you.
Yeah, exactly. So for example, the one case that I could even consider in that category was a residential. So of course I'm not going to put a whole lot of details into it, but I'll tell the baseline so everybody understands. I've talked about it a couple of times. It was when I was living in Indiana, and when I was living in Indiana, I lived basically lived in Louisville, but I lived on the Indiana side, or like to say the sunny side of Louisville. And so I was that was back in my pro MMA days. So I got called to. We got called by this in-laws to investigate this house. Well, first thing, looking back nowadays, I wouldn't have went because it was too soon. It was a murder-suicide.
Oh, okay.
And it was only 4 months prior. And but the in-laws wanted answers. And, I wanted to help them if I could. So we went there. The first thing interesting about this location is to get to the location, it's like driving in a Stephen King's movie.
Oh, yeah.
It's in rural Indiana. You have to go underneath the famous Crying Baby Bridge there in Indiana. The one that was supposedly the mother threw the baby over, and she paid. So you have to drive underneath that. So you get to the house, and probably 20 feet from the house, catty-cornered, is an abandoned cemetery from the 1800s. So, So the second thing you have to realize is the neighbors took it upon themselves to bulldoze the house. So we get there, the house is bulldozed. So we enter through the attic window, which leads us to the basement. So we get there, and we research it before we get there. The police report says the murder-suicide. The husband killed the 2 kids, his wife, and then killed himself.
Oh, wow.
In the police report, it was written that the guy had lost his job, and he was fighting depression, and was believed to have started to worship the devil. Why this was in the police report, but it was there. So we get there. We basically see what we expect to see. The crime tape still all over there. We get to the kids' room. We see what we expect: blood and everything on the mattress because he shot them in the bed. So then we get to the master bedroom, and what was area about it though is besides the murder locations, the house was like immaculate. Everything was like
weird.
And
it's kind of weird.
It gave you goosebumps going through it because I expected a crime scene. So you get to you get to the master bedroom, and you still have the chalk lines of the wife, and then you have the chalk lines of the guy, and all the blood, and then you're drawn to.
What's up, Rob?
Then you're drawn to. What's up, cult leader? Then you're drawn to the closet.
Yeah.
Because there's 2 closets. They're both walk-in closets, but the one closest to the bed is just a closet. There's not any clothes there. So we're drawn to it, and then when we go into the closet, we notice somebody had taken a box cutter and cut like a 6x6 square in the carpet.
Interesting.
So we peel it back. And we get to the padding. So it was kind of interesting that usually when people cut away carpet, they remove the padding.
Yeah.
So we put it back. We removed the padding, and there's a Pentagon.
Oh, right.
Not a very good one, but there was an attempt at a Pentagon.
Right.
So then we decided maybe we needed to look around some more. So on the table, we found his diary, I guess, journal. I guess guys have journals, right? We don't have diaries. We have journals.
Right.
So whatever.
Whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. So we find his journal. Thanks,
man.
Rob, I'm trying to have a serious conversation. He does this to me every time. I'm telling you. So love you, though, Rob. You need to go get Cleo unmad at you. That's what you need to do. It's not normal to have your dog mad at you, Rob. So go make up with Cleo.
Your dog's mad at you? Yeah, you better take him out.
Yeah, Cleo was mad at her. So she was giving him the EY yesterday. So, but anyway, so we find his journal. I was surprised that the journal wasn't taken by the cops. You don't have to shut up, Rob. Keep going. You know I love it.
Don't tell him to keep going. Come on now.
So we start looking through the journal, and it talks about the fact that he had started attempting to practice devil worship.
Okay.
And so yeah,
that makes you wonder though. Was something trying to get at him? Maybe
Yeah, because I mean, like you said, he was fighting depression, so that was the gateway. And so but anyway, so on the next speed round, we're going to talk about different kinds of locations.
Okay.
And you just get your talk about if you've investigated one, if that's the location you would investigate, that kind of thing. Okay. Easy enough. So we'll start out with cemeteries. How do you feel about investigating a cemetery?
I mean, I've investigated a couple of them. They're not really on my to-do list. They do, if they're part of a larger story or investigation or something that I'm trying to figure out, then yeah, absolutely, we'll go out and check it out.
So I'm kind of the same way. A lot of times I think it's an unpopular angle here in the paranormal field. I'm not a big cemetery person. I mean, there's a couple reasons for that. First of all, nobody lived there, nobody died there. They had no connection to there. So,
cemeteries are representative of people having like their peaceful, their body being laid to rest peacefully too, right? So ceremonial, the ceremony and stuff of that nature.
But I've investigated, a couple of cemeteries. One we investigate, we actually go probably about once a year, but it kind of has an interesting backstory. Before it was a cemetery, it was a Civil War basic training camp for the Confederacy.
Okay, see, and that's different, right? So
and 5,000 soldiers died there of smallpox, etc. Before they went to battle. So there's that. And then the second thing is there's actually a quote unquote witch buried there. She wasn't actually she wasn't an actual witch.
Get him, Ernie. Get him.
She was a Cherokee medicine woman, but in the early 1900s, when you were a witch, they would put a fence around your grave, or they would put an anchor over a long chain. So she actually has a long chain on her grave. Right. So and that part, you can actually prove. And the other thing they did in that time era is on the headstone, if you were believed to be pagan or whatever, instead of having a finger pointed up, you'd have a finger pointed down.
Down, yeah.
So she's got all that. So that part you can actually verify. I would do.
Damien, I absolutely would. You would not have to twist my wrist to do it. I would film the heck out of that. It's one of the areas I would love to go and investigate, to be honest.
Yeah, that would be awesome. So that part's verified. The backstory is more urban legend. The urban legend part is she was hung in the tree just outside the cemetery. You can't find any records of that. So that's just urban legend. So that's one we've done. So yeah, but I'm pretty much the same way.
What's up, Annie?
So the next location, and so like hospitals and asylums are separate. So we're gonna go with a hospital right now.
Yes.
So
I absolutely investigate hospitals. I dislike filming in hospitals for the same reason I dislike filming in asylums. Carrying equipment every freaking where, because there's never working elevators in these places, guys, and oftentimes no power in these areas. So trying to run lights and trying to run cameras is very fun and wears me out.
so yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. Even about the elevator part, but yeah,
I wish they would have working elevators.
I'm a fat guy. I don't need to walk all those stairs, so we might have a cardiac arrest there. Rob, we'll get you a question in a minute.
Rob, I won't answer that.
That's your answer, Rob. So what people have to realize with hospitals, the hospitals have seen everything. They've seen birth come in. They've seen life come in. They've seen life go out. So I talked about Carroll, Illinois earlier, so the place that I take my team to train is actually an abandoned hospital in Carroll. It's been abandoned since 1988.
Though, what I tend to come across there is you almost always come across spirits of doctors and nurses at hospitals. It's not.
Yep.
I mean, yeah, you get some of the patients too, but it's really unique that it's about the people that actually worked in the building.
Yeah, think about all the stuff I witnessed.
Yeah.
So like I said, this hospital's been abandoned since 1988. So there's absolutely nothing, no wires, nothing. It had asbestos, but they cleaned all that out. So I've actually got some of the best thermal images I've ever captured.
That's
there.
Awesome.
We was on the third floor one time, and I took a picture with a thermal camera, and you see Dennis and Denise, who were the only two other people on the floor with me besides me. But you see Dennis, Denise, and then there's a 6'4" human-shaped heat signature between them.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. And then I got a EMF reading of 110.3.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So hospitals are definitely good. A morgue. Yeah.
Yep,
So there's the hospital actually has a morgue in it. It's always flooded. You mentioned it. If for some reason the one at Carroll is always flooded. One time I actually had to ride through the basement on tires that people had just thrown into the basement.
Oh God!
So I can investigate. So we can talk about morgues real fast. So how about funeral homes and morgues?
Yeah, absolutely. And even crematoriums. I've done them all.
So my best funeral home story was we investigated this funeral home in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. We didn't know it was a funeral home because it had been a funeral home for a long time. This company bought it and was trying to turn it into a sorority house, but every time the workers went in, they got chased out.
Oh yeah.
So our paranormal team that I'm friends with, they investigated it, and they're like, can you bring Ken 10 up here and tell us what you found? Because we want to get another team's input.
Yeah.
So, but they wouldn't tell me what the place. They wouldn't give me the history on the place. He's like, I want you to come in blind.
Yeah, of course.
So we get there, and I do my walkthrough, and I'm immediately drawn to the basement. So I open the door to go down to the basement, and the temperature just drops like 20 degrees. And so I get down there, and I'm just sitting in my guide bee, So it takes me to this one room, and I do a solo sit, and I know that I look at the guy that's with me. I look at him, and I'm like, this was the morgue. He's like, I was like, I don't know what this building was, but this was a morgue. Yeah. And so we get up there, and the guy hosting us, he's like, so what did you find, Ken? I was like, the room in the basement. I was like, that was our morgue. He's like, yep. So So yeah, so asylums. What do we think about asylum?
Asylums. I mean, obviously, asylums tend to be very active because of the patients that they had there, and the patients, some of them have, mental challenges going on there, but then also because of that, they have very active minds, and I think that stays there. And then if go back, our past in dealing with mental health hasn't been great in this country, and there was a lot of mistreatments going on there. Um, people got put in mental institutions for the dumbest things. So there's that portion of it too. They weren't treated well.
Yes, yeah, I agree. And I tell people like, especially in a morgue, I mean, especially in an asylum situation, people are like, well, I was grabbed, so it had to be a malicious spirit. No, you don't think that. It's in a morgue situation. It could very well just been somebody, one of the residents there, and they could have.
You and me both, Rob. I wonder where I'm gonna get my clingy sock vacation.
So yeah. So Ernie, yes, we're glad you're back. We're glad you showered. We smelled you all the way from here. So and you need a nap because you're old. So Rob, I've been trying to get locked up for months now. Electric shock therapy, Rob. Electric shock therapy. So so yeah. Okay, how about how about prisons and jails?
Prisons and jails, yes, absolutely. We've done several of those as well. Although most of I do more jails than I do prisons. What's up, Robert? How you doing, man? Oh, we got two Roberts in the chat now. Oh boy, we've done messed up.
So yeah, I've done several. What used to surprise me about prisons, and then is the place that I've always got the most activity has always been like the mess hall.
Yeah.
And used to I was like, but more you think about it, that's actually where they interacted and actually have lived more. When they were in their cell and that kind of stuff. It was just them. So it makes sense that the mess hall and the
yeah. So yeah, a lot of the most active areas tend to be like the bullpen areas or the mess halls. Yeah, correct.
So let's talk a little bit about. I got too many comments here. Let's talk a little bit more about the TV streaming service.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Why did Beacon? I went blank for a minute. So let's talk about Beacon. Why did you decide to do that?
Yeah, of course. So that's a really easy answer for me. So we're fortunate to have friends all over the place. Some are not on TV.
You was a little bit slow, Rob. A little bit slow, Rob. Come on now.
Yeah. So watching our friends that were on TV kind of essentially lose their jobs out of nowhere, right? So it's that portion of it, and then I think being at these conventions and doing the events alongside Shane Pittman. A lot of the questions that he would normally get asked is, why did the Holzer Files get canceled? Or, why did this show get canceled? Why did this show get canceled? Viewers are upset about that, right? And rightfully so. I mean, TV and, bacon TV sold.
Everything's better with bacon.
Yeah. So, it's just something that people got joy out of watching and had a lot of fun doing. And not only that, but, a lot of my friends that were on some of these shows upended their life essentially to film on these shows to then be without a job. And contrary to what most people think, we're not all making the big bucks here. But it's a labor of love, right? So fast forward, this is something that Shane and I wanted to do for a long time. We crossed paths with Michael Cook, and things aligned, and we were like, it's time to put up or shut up, and we've been hard at work ever since. We are blessed with the response for Beacon TV. We hope that it continues to go, that it is going. We're putting in a ton of work. Yeah, right, Denise. Absolutely, I am. Yeah. I eat hamburger helper on the daily, ramen on the daily. So yeah, but at the end of the day, if people are watching the content that's on the platform and they are getting, joy out there, there's a lot of really bad things that are constantly going on, not in just our country, but in the world. So, if you could sit and watch a 30-minute episode and be like, man, I really enjoyed that. That's what we're here for, right? And we're here to kind of put a lot of these investigators back to work, maybe find some people that did not make their way onto the TV scene as well. And, we want to put the viewers back in behind the steering wheel per se.
So that's actually my new goal is sometime between now and the next year or 2 years, I want to have a TV.
Yeah.
I want to be.
So, I mean, it's a lot of work too. Like when we're producing content and stuff, we're working probably 14 hours a day to get that done. There's a ton of work behind it. And I always say the investigating portions of like the shows that we do are the easiest because they're the simplest ones, because basically we run cameras the entire time that we're investigating, because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to get picked up. And so we want to make sure that we have cameras running. But setting up interviews, filming B-roll, all of that stuff takes a ton of time because there's a huge attention to detail to make sure that stuff looks good.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's just like, just like on video. So our issue.
Thank you, Robert.
Our issue was we had a problem having a video guy.
That is also true, Robert.
we had a problem to get a video guy. So if you watch our last two videos, they're actually really good. I'm actually a lot happier with their production.
Right.
But like you said, the videos are like 30 minutes long, but I probably edited it for a week.
Yeah. So the rule of thumb that we have is for every 10 hours of footage, we get 1 hour that we'll use. So, when you're watching paranormal reality TV, do we remain true to the investigation? Absolutely. But we're also not trying to put you to sleep. So we're going to get the best of the best of that investigation and condense it down.
Damien wants to know, is there a specific genre you want to get more?
That's a great question, Damien, and I would like to leave that up to the viewers. What we are seeing is that there's a huge passion into the paranormal right now. We see that in our analytics. But there tends to be UFO stuff does pretty well as well. The Bigfoot stuff. I'm a huge fan personally of the different like cryptids and stuff out there. Matter of fact, I have several of them tattooed on my arm. So
yeah, I mean, I'm the same way. I mean, I do like we just got a new logo for Ken 10, and it actually has a ghost. It actually has a ghost, Bigfoot, and alien on it, because it's all paranormal.
Right. So, I mean, that is true too. I mean, I define that all as paranormal.
That's me. See, that's what I want to see. but yeah, so talking about doing the paracons and stuff.
Denise, I need you guys to take me out on a Bigfoot hunt. I've only been on one. Well, I guess two. I was on a Bigfoot hunt with the pair with the normal guys, Mike Gagliano, if that counts, because if you guys have Beacon TV, do watch the episode of Pair with a Normal. It's only like this. The Bigfoot one's only like 10 minutes long, but it is hilarious. That guy is a trip. But to saying all of that, yes, I would like to go on another actual, Bigfoot hunt as well. That'd be cool. Rob said that doesn't count. Yeah, I think it's a fine line on if that counts or not, because it, yeah.
So
you just have to watch it to see. It is hilarious.
So what's interesting is, talking about. So I actually got the chance to go on a Dogman investigation last year.
Yeah.
So I mean, if that's something, you have the trifecta. It's definitely. Rob said he divorced a Bigfoot. That's kind of true, but I heard that's because Bigfoot. Rob couldn't satisfy Bigfoot, so he had to find out that.
Wow.
I'm sorry. I'm going to hell now. But anyway, so Dogman in the LBO down here is that is something it's known for. So that's that might be.
Rob, I was just a little shocked that he said it.
So that might be something that we need to try to set up in the future, for real.
Yeah.
So let's get back to. I'm going to get back to you guys talking at the Paracons and stuff. So obviously this year you guys are busy, and I'm already booked for next year. But for this year, but next year. I would love to have you guys come down to the Kentucky Paranormal Expo.
Reach out to us. Obviously, our schedules fill up pretty quick these days, whether it's us being at a convention or event or filming now, because we're kind of catching it from all sides. I will tell you, and I told somebody else earlier today, that it is our goal as we're moving into Beacon TV is we will kind of, for better or worse, take a bit of a step back from doing some of the conventions. Guys, we're gone like half of the year, at least, minimum. We go all over the place all the time. So, we will still do them. We won't do as many of them.
All right, give me just a minute. I'm trying to send Rob a link here so he can join us.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, this might be interesting. All right, give me just a second. Invite guest. All right, Rob, you got a link. Come and join us, sir. So, I'm actually kind of going the opposite way.
Furthest I'm willing to travel. Damien, I tend to find we travel a long ways. We'll be doing a bunch of stuff overseas too. So the story's there, and it really speaks to us. Then there is no boundary to that.
So I'm actually going the opposite way with the Paracon stuff. Of course, I lost the 3 years because of my brain surgery.
Yeah, of course.
I'm actually doing several of them this year. I'm actually going to. I'm actually doing the Smoky Mountain Terror next month.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Then, I got an invite from that because of being friends with Jimmy Recker of Outlaw Paranormal. So yes, I'm doing that, and then I'm doing the Cape Paracon, and then I'm doing the one in Paducah, and then of course I'm doing my own. And so yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I probably have 5 or 6 left this year. I know I'm going to Rock Island this year again. That's going to be
Yeah,
an exciting one.
I'm supposed to be at Rock Island too. So yeah, I'm going to catch up with my good friend Aaron G. Thompson there. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes. He was there last year too.
Yeah, Aaron G's on a social media break right now till September. Yeah, but he actually, and I don't know if I'm supposed to share this, but I'm going to. I'm a big guy. He ain't gonna whoop me. So he actually just secured a job. He's working for the TV station now.
Oh, fantastic!
So yeah. He's actually he goes over hiatus in September, and he's going to be on the Paracon. He's going to be on the podcast in September. So yeah. So anyway, are we ready for Rob? Are we really ready for this?
Is anybody ever really ready for him?
Hi, Rob!
Oh my God.
Hello, friends. I heard you needed someone famous on this show. Here I am.
I've arrived.
So Rob, what's your Bigfoot story? We got to hear it.
The divorce papers?
Well, listen, you're making it sound like I was referencing my ex, human wife.
No, you married a real a real Sasquatch.
So, look, Josh, for reals, like
I married a Bigfoot.
Denise, Ernie, Todd, Leanne, and Squatchman. This magic combination of people that seems to, I don't know, they were beacon for these things. So I really wasn't the biggest. Like, it's not that I didn't believe. I just wasn't. I was just like, you gotta be like, come on, right? Because they have a lot of stories. So we had a first kind of like easing experience. It was sort of like this moment in Indiana where I was like, I'm seeing what you guys are saying. I'm just not quite sure, like exactly what that was. But so fast forward to Fort Duffield, and the spirit squatches and stories around a campfire. We're all hanging out. Right, Squatch Man's awesome. There. Who he's a, if you just meet Squatch Man, like that's enough.
The trip is worth it.
Yeah, he's cool as shit.
We had an abnormal,
but they're like all of a sudden, Leanne came by. She's like, you got to come up here. So we go up to the tree line.
Right.
We're looking down this trailhead, and we're seeing like things moving down there, and I'm like, what the hell that is, but there's definitely something moving. And then Squatch Man comes up, and he does his thing at the edge of the tree line. And Josh, man, there were 19 of us there, like, but we got to experience this a little bit before everybody came up.
Right.
All of a sudden, it was the eyes, right? And we're seeing the eyes, and there's 1, 2, 4, 5. And I'm standing there and I'm going,
what is happening? Yeah.
What am I looking at here? And there's big ones, there's little ones. They're in the goddamn trees. Right. They're on the ground.
They're everywhere.
And there's
invasion
19 of us standing there going, oh my God. Like
it's crazy.
Dude, it literally was insane. And so, one of the coolest parts of it, it's nobody even bothered or tried, or I think even had the desire to whip out a camera and try to film this.
Right.
We were so in the moment. It was such a spiritual experience. And like they blink, man, and they're there and they're just aware of you. Yeah. And you are hyper aware of them. So there was a point where Curious Rob is like, I gotta get closer, right? I gotta get closer. Right. So I tried going down this one trailhead with Todd and Leanne.
That's how you end up married to one. Yeah.
This is how the story starts, right? Next thing you know, you're in a Bigfoot chapel. But I'm trying to go down this trailhead and I'm hit like with this massive headache. Like it was crippling.
Interesting.
I'm like, dude, and I just had this terrible, I'm like, we can't go further. We cannot go further. So they're like, all right, then we don't go further. Went back up. Somehow Squatch Man, who's in tune with these things, knew that Rob encroached. I probably went a little too close. Denise is like, dude, just go ask them to get rid of this headache.
Yeah.
So I did. Now everybody was gathered around where everybody was seeing these beings. So I went down a little bit further where there were none, and I'm just looking to the woods, and I was like, hey, like I need your help, like can you help me? I need this headache gone.
Talking to the woods. Yeah.
I swear on everything that is holy up in this tree, I see the eyes, and the eyes they illuminate. They're not just it's not like deer on the side of the road, man. Like these are eyes.
Right.
And it's looked at me and it blinked, and my friggin' headache was gone like instantly.
Dang.
Oh, dude.
That's cool.
It's so stupid. Now, how Squatch Man knew I even tried to get close to him. I got yelled at, right? Which is nothing new.
I like that.
But I just can't. I still can't. And the people that were with me, like, just such this huge experience. Everybody's looking at each other and they're going, "There's the fucking forest people. They're here. Like they're here. And we're all looking at them." Dude, right. It's so good. Now prior to that at ISS, we had like this one experience. And then at ISS Con,
I had heard that about ISS actually.
Yeah, dude, like they're in the woods.
I've heard that.
So, Sarah, who may or may not be watching, I don't know. I just know like so we were at Billy Creek Village, which is right down the street. Earlier in the night, I saw this weird pair of legs walking, just the legs down the road. But we're walking, and there they are again. They're in the friggin' tree line.
It was Ernie in shorts.
Yeah. It could have been. And there were like awesome, 19, 20. It was so crazy. But Sarah got to witness one. Apparently, like they cloak, right? So she's seeing she's seeing because I'm yelling at her. I'm like, dude, I'm like, Sarah, how are you not seeing? Like, why aren't you looking at this? And she was stuck on something else. And that was with the way she describes it, like almost like sonar. She was seeing and it was taller than she thought. She was seeing like that sonar in the main. It was, dude, it's insane. So, I do believe just like, in traditional paranormal ghosty world, that there are people that just attract things and or connect in one way or another. I believe that wholeheartedly with Denise, Ernie, Todd Leanne, Squatch Man. When we did,
I would definitely love to go and do one with them.
You can come out to the trifecta.
I'm telling you, man. Hey, let's be honest here. Kentucky's got some weird stuff going on anyway.
I know. Not even the paranormal, just every day. Yeah, you go to get Chinese food and it's just different, right?
Yeah,
it's different in those restaurants.
Kentucky just does things differently, right?
Go ahead. Kentucky is rated as the third most paranormal state. So.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Denise, I'm telling you, every time I see a photo of you and Ernie eating at the Red Yeti and all this stuff, I'm like, man,
dude, the food's good.
Makes me so hungry.
Plus, Ernie's hamburgers are the best. Right?
Are they?
So here's what I'll say, I'll get off. I'll stop stealing the spotlight here. We did the trifecta last year. We did it with Ronnie LeBlanc. And it was cool, man. It was cool.
He's the one that was telling us about the ISS encounter.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because he's telling a story during his session, and he talks about ISS, and I'm like, I lost my shit because I'm like, that's right where we had something happen.
Right.
But when we went on day 2 with Ronnie out there in the woods, we did some tree knock stuff, and while we were doing it, I was like, let's run the DR60 if we get something, and we did. I believe we got a weird voice just before he hits the tree.
Ooh.
And then we get a knock, and we're in a friggin', I'm like, come on, like that's got to be a coincidence. But look, man, Ronnie's super cool. We did a CE5 thing that night, which was also crazy, and we did get these weird lights to show up. And then we did the ghost hunt the next night. So down in, at Ernie's place the first night, we're staying at the Ditto House,
Right.
haunted as shit. And the next day we're gonna do
gonna do some Bigfoot hunting, and
we're doing the Bigfoot and the CE5 over at Duffield and ghost because it's haunted too. I somehow when I was there, right, there's a kind of a famous photo from that one of their guests took. It looks like a soldier standing down on this.
Yeah. I think Ernie and Denise, they may have both showed it to me. One of them showed it to me. Yeah.
I took a photo, same spot.
Good. Yeah, I did. I even saw your photo actually. Yeah.
So there you go. But you should come and if you don't,
no, absolutely.
All you guys need to get out to Duffield.
Yeah.
And experience that.
Oh no, I would go just to hang out and see what happens. That's cool.
So, Rob,
go ahead.
Before you leave us, let us know. Just tell everybody what Get Haunted's got going on. The events we got coming up.
Oh God, Ken. We've got
we've got
the Mansion coming up. We have for Duffield. There's still some end of May. There's still some tickets left. June 21st, we have the book release party with
nice. I
Brian
saw you post that the other day. That's awesome.
That's right, man. Out at Missouri State Penitentiary, we've got the convent tattoo event May 10th, I want to say. Which, if you don't know what it is, convent's supposed to be like the most haunted tattoo parlor in the world. So we did a Get Inked event there. You get a tattoo if you want, and then we do an investigation. There's a lot. And then it just keeps going. So, but that's
don't give yourself a panic attack by thinking about it all. Yeah,
dude, you got it. You have to experience it because
I want to. I genuinely.
It sort of completes the whole paranormal pie. For I don't know if you.
Yeah, I mean, coincidentally, the one Bigfoot hunt I've been on was in Kentucky. And listen, I mean, it was in the Daniel Boone National Forest, and he himself wrote about Bigfoot in his own journals.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Well, what can I say? Again, Kentucky's got some weird stuff going on.
Yeah, and Fort Knox is right there. You get to and Kent. Like you drive by Fort Knox, your phone.
It's all Kent's fault somehow.
Yeah. So just bring bug spray and some Get Haunted.
Yeah.
Some Get Haunted. Yeah. Everything will be good.
Whoa! Listen, Bigfoot definitely has to take me out to dinner first. Jeez.
Well, that's why the Red Yeti even exists, and why
Red Yeti go there.
Takes us there all the time.
I mean, I'd probably do something strange to go eat there for sure. So
plus, you got Denise and Ernie stories, which are off the.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, last question for you. This is an important question. Is Chloe still mad at you?
What?
Is Chloe still mad at you?
Who the hell's
your dog? Your dog.
Oh, it's Leo. He's a male. Leo.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, Chloe. See, this is why I'm divorced. Kent was like, "Hey, Chloe's mad at you." Yeah, he's got a little attitude lately.
Yeah.
I don't know.
What'd you do? Maybe you need to question what you've been doing.
I did. I held him down.
Thank you for jumping on, sir. All right, Josh.
What happened? Oh, is Sarah commenting? I can't see it. All right, I'm out. I don't want to steal any more of your time. You're at 2 hours, Kent.
I know. I'm getting ready to go. Are you going to cancel me?
Then you got to cut him off.
You're just going to have to fight Mike Cronin because he's 6'7". I forgot you're a fighter too.
Thank you for coming on.
All right. See you later. Have fun, boys. Bye.
All right, Josh. We all get ready to end this because we all almost at 2 hours. But first of all, thank you for coming on. I've enjoyed it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Second of all, just tell everybody what you got going on, how to get a hold of you. And I still don't know how I got Chloe out of Leo, but that's okay. That may be it. Ernie may be right.
I like that.
So I will tell everybody real fast. Next week, I am going to have a cryptozoologist on the show. I'm going to have David Eller. who will be my guest next week. So everybody wants to tune into that. So with that being said, Josh, just tell everybody what you got going on.
So everybody that knows me, what don't I have going on? We're filming several projects for Beacon TV this year, so I'm going to be on the road doing a whole ton of that. Apart from that, you'll catch me at a couple of different events: Rock Island, the Bash. I'm doing Booze at the Battleship here in a week or so. Just came back from Cajun Country Paracon. So yeah, doing tons of stuff there. We will be, filming. If you want to reach out to us, reach out to me. Check me out on Facebook at Born a Josh. You can reach out to Stream Beacon TV or Searchers. So.
All right, I appreciate you being on. We'll see everybody next week. Go like everybody, all of us, Facebook and all that, YouTube and all that stuff. Get your subscription to Beacon, and we will see everybody next week.
All right.